So the story is called The 12 Months, and some people consider this like a Russian Cinderella story. But I think it's interesting because in some ways you can see a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of ways in which it is different. So I'll talk about that at the end. So it is winter in Russia, and there's this little house out in the woods, and inside it lives a woman, her daughter, and her niece. And the niece is the protagonist of this story. Her name is Marushka. And see, Marushka's this very nice girl. She does everything she's asked. And her aunt and her cousin, Helena, are greedy and just mean to her all the time. No matter how much she does for them, they always call her lazy. But she always tries to be good because she knows, they've taken her in even though they don't have much money themselves. One day, Helena decides that she wants some violets for their table. So she says, Marushka, go outside and get me some violets. Of course, Marushka's confused. She says, it's winter outside. And see, flowers don't grow in the winter. But she can't really do anything. So they basically kick her out into the snow and to go find violets. She doesn't know what to do. And she finds this mountain, and so she climbs up it, and on the top she sees these 12 men gathered around a fire. And she's freezing by this time. So she kind of walks up and she says, is it okay if I warm myself by your fire? Would that be all right with you guys? And they like that she's so nice and polite, so they say yes. And right now, and then the oldest man seems to be in charge, and he introduces himself and his companion and lets her know that they are the 12 months, that each one of them controls a different portion of the year. When they ask her what she's doing outside in all this snow, she tells them that she's looking for violets. And they're like, well, that's crazy. There are no violets right now. And Marushka starts to cry because she doesn't know what to do because they're not going to let her back in the house without the violets. And they say, okay, well, since you're such a nice person, we're going to help you out. So they call over March. And I don't know why March looks like a Bedouin. and so March basically takes Marushka and uses his wand or something and turns it into a sunny day in March. And there are violets growing everywhere. So she is happy because then she can, pick them. And so, oh, I'm losing pieces everywhere. And so she takes the violets back to her aunt and her cousin. And, basically they're like, where did you find those? And all she says is, I found them up on the mountain. Because she knows she's not supposed to tell anybody about the 12 months. She just knows this instinctively. And so they're like, oh, well, they don't even tell her a good job. They basically just take them from her and that's it. Then some time passes and the cousin is being whiny again. And she's like, I really like some strawberries. Go get me some strawberries. And again, it's winter outside. What do you want from me? But, she's a good girl, so she goes, and this time she knows what to do. So she goes up to the mountain again, and she sees January, and she tells him of her dilemma, and he's like, well, that's going to be an issue, but here's what we're going to do for you. So he calls along June, and June, takes his wand, makes it summer, and she's able to pick strawberries. So she, takes them back to her family, and they take them, they eat all the strawberries, she doesn't even get any, and when they ask where she got them from, all she can say is, well, I got them on the top of the mountain. More time passes, and they decide they want apples now. And again, goes to the top of the mountain, and this time she gets some help from September. So he uses his magic wand, it becomes warm, and she sees there's an apple tree, so she's able to gather some apples. And but the apples are a little bigger than the other ones, so she's only able to carry 2. So she takes the 2 apples back home. And when she comes back home with the apples, instead of like being happy that she managed to find these like magical fruit in the middle of the winter, they basically complain, "You only got 2, what are you doing?" And so the cousin Helena is like, "Well, if you only got 2 and you got them up on the mountain, I can surely do better than you." So she decides she's going to go out to the mountain. And sure enough, she does come along the fire and the old men. And she says, she sees the fire and she decides, well, I'm just going to walk right up there and warm myself. I'm cold, I'm going to take care of this. And they think she's being pretty rude to just barge in on them like that. So they don't offer to help her, they just pretend they're like normal guys, and she wanders off because she thinks she's still going to find these apple trees. And then she gets lost. And then later, the aunt and Marushka are still in the house, and the aunt's wondering, you know, where is my daughter? She's been gone a long time. She must be eating all those apples by herself. That's what's probably happening. So she decides to go out and find her. She also gets lost in the wood. Now, you know, some months pass, and it becomes warm again. So Marushka decides to take the seeds from the 2 original apples and plant them. And this gives her enough seeds for 12 apple trees that grow in a circle. And these trees stand in reminder in her village of this story and about how it is more important to be a virtuous person than to be greedy. And that is the story.